Well, we saw lots of activity this weekend in the beautiful city of Des Moines. Local 5's Emma Storner joins us in studio to share the events that took place today and the greater purpose they serve the community. Emma.
Larissa, something I learned today is how impactful a third space can be, especially in times of fear and uncertainty. The Des Moines community has really emphasized the importance of sticking together and leaning on that human connection. This evening, Pathway Church welcomed all to their community block party. Beyond the food and games, Pastor Dan Hudson had one goal in mind.
There's so much anger and fighting out there, and we've done our best to create an environment where you can just come and not fight.
Hudson says just talking to someone new can be healing.
And I think conversations are just huge, you know, to be able to just sit down and say, hey, how you doing? And to know a person as opposed to like a title or a label or something, you know, it goes beyond that.
Another way to connect is to get creative.
There we go. I mean, how did I put up with him? The pest, the crazy.
It's exactly what local actors, writers, and producers were channeling over at Iowa Stage Theater Company's 24-hour short play festival.
What a gift to just like come giggle with like no prep. There's no expectation, right? We're all here to have a good time.
In between the laughs, there was a sense of something stronger.
What I appreciate is like no one's like tied to a specific company. Like people act all over, and it feels really strong and tight-knit in that way.
The way that the community shows up for each other, right, is so cool to see, because no matter what's happening, you know that there's going to be a team of people there to like show up, cheer you on, and just celebrate the work that you're doing.
Oh, the east side of Des Moines is hurting after a teen was killed in a crash over the weekend. 15-year-old Santiago Roan was hit by a motorcycle and was taken to a hospital where he later died from his injuries. Local 5's Alex Fulton shares who Santiago was and where he wanted to go in life.
Santiago Roan had big dreams of becoming a professional baseball player. The teen appeared to have been on the right track to do so until his life was cut short.
This is not the interview we're supposed to be having that we had planned.
Saturday night around 11, Santiago Roan was hit and killed by a motorcycle while crossing Northeast 29th Street.
He was a coach's dream, a mom's dream, a good son, great brother.
Keon Patton originally met Santiago at his barbershop, being the one who gave him his first haircut.
I think Santiago's one of those few that was born to play the game. Like I said, you don't see the love and passion and the discipline and focus in the young kids at that early of an age.
At the age of 8, he was selected to play on Patton's Iowa Elite Bats baseball team.
My team was 9 and up, and Santiago was our youngest player on the team. He's just that good and that passionate for the game.
Santiago got onto the East High School varsity baseball team as a freshman and played on the Canes Iowa Select team.
He still was just working on the game to feel confident enough to feel like schools wanted him. I know some schools had contacted his dad and stuff.
The same day of the crash, hours before it happened, Santiago gave it his all at a game with his select team.
From what his mom had told me, he, you know, had a single, he hit it to the fence, and 2 RBIs scored, and then he came in to help save the game and clinch it for the win.
Coach Patton says if Santiago were still here, there's no doubt he would have made it far.
There's supposed to be interviews about his accolades, his achievements, you know, helping his team get to state, going to college, what team he chose, or what college he chose to go to, and then from there, what team drafted him.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is ending a report that has helped track hunger across the country for decades. Local 5's J.D. Snover shows us what that decision could mean for food banks here in Iowa.
The USDA's Household Food Insecurity Report has been a key resource for 30 years, but next month it'll be released for the last time. And for groups like the Food Bank of Iowa, that's a big loss, not just of data, but of a tool they use to fight hunger.
When you stop counting people facing hunger, it signals to them that they don't count anymore.
That's the concern from the Food Bank of Iowa, especially now, when data shows all 99 counties in the state are seeing food insecurity on the rise.
The timing seems very odd at a time when we're seeing 3.5 years here in Iowa of record and rising numbers facing hunger, that we would stop looking at the problem and stop counting people who are facing hunger.
The Food Bank of Iowa says the report helps them understand where help is needed most, both here at home and in neighboring states.
We know that in many ways Iowa's better off than some other states. That in and of itself is sobering.
The report first came out in 1995. Now, after 3 decades, the USDA is ending it. In a statement sent out over the weekend, the agency said it's doing so because, in part, quote, these redundant, costly, politicized, and extraneous studies do nothing more than fear-mongering. It also claimed that food insecurity numbers are staying flat, even as SNAP spending has risen. Back here at home, the food bank says it will continue to find ways to carry out its mission.
We're not going to stop looking at how hunger is affecting our community. But on a national basis, this takes away a benchmark that we've had for 30 years, and that's very concerning.
The final report will be released on October 22nd and will include data collected at the end of last year. The USDA does say it has better resources than this specific report, but did not clarify what those are.
Experts are weighing in tonight, saying President Donald Trump's comments about the causes of autism lack sufficient evidence. The president on Monday stated pregnant women who use acetaminophen are at an increased risk of their child having autism. Local 5's Alex Fulton is digging deeper into those claims and what we know about autism. Alex.
Well, Stephanie, experts say more research needs to be done into the roughly 1,000 factors that cause autism. Each individual autism case is unique, and it's difficult to pinpoint to a single source.
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol, and don't give it to the baby after the baby is born.
President Donald Trump suggested pregnant women taking Tylenol, also known as acetaminophen, could lead to autism.
It's a disappointment.
Erin Enyart with the Autism Society of Iowa isn't convinced by the president's statement.
There's not a lot of research backing it, unfortunately, and so we're just hoping for a little bit more of that background information, the research that they're going off of.
University of Iowa psychiatry professor Jacob Michelson agrees, saying past studies have found minimal evidence of the claims.
The evidence does not support this risk connection between acetaminophen and risk for neurodevelopmental outcomes like autism and ADHD.
He explained most of the genes that cause autism are generated during prenatal development.
It's not something that kind of arrives on the scene later. And most of the genes that are involved, there are, a couple hundred genes that are very strongly linked to autism.
Enyart with the Autism Society of Iowa says an autism diagnosis can be confusing and come with lots of questions for parents at first.
A lot of parents are looking for that, what might have caused it, especially in those early years when there is that guilt of, did I do something wrong?
Instead of thinking about a link between autism and acetaminophen, she recommends parents focus on their child's well-being.
Focus on that progress, get the systems in place that your child needs, that your family needs, and there are people that can help you with that.
Now, parents who suspect their child has autism should contact the Autism Society of Iowa. The organization can get parents connected with medical providers for a diagnosis and professionals who specialize in autism therapies.
Well, recent consumer price index data shows the cost of coffee is rising exponentially. But why is that? Local 5's J.D. Snover talked with Central Iowa producers to find out what's driving that spike.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. Some consumers have seen prices jump by over 20% throughout the U.S., and those who turn beans into your morning brew say the problem starts at the very beginning of the supply chain.
These challenges only fuel our persistence. Raising costs isn't our first option. We will try to tighten our belts and be as efficient as possible.
In a business built on imports with little American control over the top of the supply chain, Iowa-based coffee roasters like Black & Bold are doing what they can to manage their rising costs.
Whether it be sourcing beans to our logistics to our packaging, but challenges aren't new to us.
The chair of the economics department at Iowa State says one major factor is trade policy. Specifically, a 50% tariff on Brazil, which supplies nearly 35% of U.S. coffee imports.
It's a pretty interesting case because if the purpose of the tariff is to protect domestic producers, we don't really produce much coffee. So that particular argument falls by the wayside.
Another reason, unfavorable weather in South America, which has hurt the beans' yields, while global demand is on the rise.
The saying is, Brazil sneezes and the world catches a cold.
Rob Pearson of Windmill Coffee in Ames says he hopes coffee will be part of any future agricultural trade deals the U.S. makes, but for now, producers like him are focused on pushing through.
Coffee tastes great. I mean, we've been making huge strides in the industry. I mean, I think that the future of coffee is bright, and I think that we can weather this increased pricing.
Now, while Iowa producers can't control the global market, they do say they're doing everything they can to keep quality high and cost manageable for local coffee lovers. Stephanie?
It's that time of the year when people may be thinking about homecoming dresses, but for one local designer, now is actually the time she starts getting ready for prom. That's because Nickstar Designs hand makes customizable, unique pieces. I spoke with Nakia Whitfield, a local fashion designer, about her passion for making women feel their best. On the second floor of Mainframe Studios, a sewing machine is turning and ideas are being stitched together.
He likes to get either altered or custom made.
As Nickstar Designs works thread by thread to hand make fashion, so whomever is wearing these clothes feels their best.
I saw a gap from a lot of different size women, and so I get to serve that community now.
Nakia Whitfield began following her passion 11 years ago, not threading and needling, but by buying and selling clothes.
I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like how it made my clients feel either, because I felt like I was missing sizing options and maybe some design details that they didn't think about that they wanted to incorporate. So then I kind of nixed that idea and I went straight into fully custom.
And Whitfield says that lets creativity shine for everyone who walks through her door.
I would say I always like to meet women where they're at. So a lot of people say, oh, do you design for like petite or do you design for plus size? I design for women. So it doesn't matter where you are size-wise, like I'm trying to meet you where you're at.
Whitfield ships most of her fabric from New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, making everything from prom dresses to wedding dresses, and most recently, finishing up a project for an upcoming adaptive fashion show.
Deb is in a wheelchair sometimes, so I wanted it to be accessible for her as well. So we're gonna go the route of making the two pieces, but then when she has them on together, it looks like one and it acts like two pieces.
Whitfield doesn't stop the unifying there. She says collaboration and making women feel their best is at the center of everything.
So it was really nice to collab and kind of think of fashion in a different way, more on the functional side, and then also on what the outer appearance is going to look like too.
And 11 years of passion is shining through one thread at a time.
I think my biggest why was because I didn't see a lot of people that either looked like me or had the same kind of creative process as me. I really enjoyed throughout this time getting to share my gifts with other people too and kind of help foster the gifts that are in them.
Now, Nakia is currently working on pieces for her own fashion show that is happening on November 6th, and she says it is going to be an edgy bridal show. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Well, pretty soon you'll be able to hang 10 in downtown Des Moines. A recreation area that will offer surfing is set to open next summer. Local 5's Alex Fulton is live downtown with what people can expect from this project. Alex.
Yeah, Stephanie, exciting stuff happening here in downtown Des Moines. A year from now, people will actually be able to travel by canoe or kayak down the Raccoon River through where it meets with the Des Moines River, and they're actually going to pass by this enclosed area here behind me where people will be catching big waves.
This site is about creating opportunity for recreation at a place that it wasn't available.
The sounds of progress are prevalent along the Des Moines River just east of Principal Park.
There are really skilled workers out here that are placing every boulder to make sure that it fits exactly right and exactly where it needs to be for safety.
The site will soon be home to Principal Point at Scott Avenue, a recreation area being developed by a nonprofit called Icon Water Trails.
There's a lowhead dam here that's very dangerous. We are safing that dam and then putting in recreational features so folks can come out and surf, whitewater raft, and paddle through.
The crown jewel of Principal Point will be a surf area enclosed by boulders featuring artificially created waves.
It's this big motorized flipper that we can actually mechanically control what sort of wave is created and create ideal conditions for people to come out and river surf.
The technology is already in use at a similar attraction in Columbus, Georgia.
It brought in tens of new businesses and tons of people. And Des Moines is already thriving, but we love to punch above our weight class, and we know we can keep doing more.
The budget for Principal Point is around $50 million. It is being paid for through a combination of private, local, state, and federal funding.
What Icon is really about is connecting people to our river roots. And the more that we can get people out here enjoying nature, the more that they want to see investments in that as well.
Now, once it opens, Principal Point will be the first of 3 whitewater sites around downtown. The others will be located on Harriet Street and on Floor Drive. Live in downtown Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
East High School sophomore Santiago Roan was killed by a motorcyclist late Saturday night while crossing the street. Local 5's Emma Stroner attended a candlelight vigil and balloon release held in his honor and shares the legacy he's left on his loved ones and the baseball field.
Baby G was a light. He was the spark that lit up every room. This smile turned a hard day into a hopeful one.
Hundreds are gathered around the pitcher's mound at the East High School baseball field in memory of Santiago Roan. At 7 p.m., the baseball field was filled with candles, balloons, and loved ones to honor Santiago. He is missed by many, both on the field.
You can place 1,000 baseball players in front of me. Santi's one of a kind.
And off.
Growing up with my brother was probably the most amazing thing ever.
No matter where the community connected with Santiago, it's clear he will leave a legacy in Des Moines.
I want everyone to watch a baseball game and think of my brother. I want everyone to watch a pitcher throw an amazing pitch and think of my brother.
One thing his friends and family will never forget is how hard he strived for success, and not just for himself.
He was like a really motivational guy, and he really pushed everybody around him. If I was in the classroom, like on the baseball field, even on the football field, he just really pushed everybody.
He pushed me. He pushed me to do better. He pushed me to get where he wanted his whole entire family to be, including the family in the community.
In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
Marshalltown's annual Fall Festival is set to begin today, despite this ongoing Legionella outbreak that's been happening there in the community.
Now, health officials confirm the case count has now climbed to 73, and they say work to eliminate the bacteria is still underway. Local 5's Megan McPherson listened in on the latest public health update. And Megan, there are still concerns being expressed about the festival's location.
Yeah, there are, Dana and Joseph. At yesterday's Board of Supervisors meeting, Marshall County Public Health Director Sydney Gruhl said the 12 business centers with cooling towers in north central Marshalltown, which is the epicenter of the outbreak and the location of this weekend's festival, have started the disinfection process. However, full offline remediation has not been completed. That's according to Gruhl. She says that process requires shutting down the system and doing a complete cleaning to eliminate the bacteria. Now, because of this, officials recommended moving the community's annual Oktoberfest celebration, which begins today, out of downtown. But as we reported earlier this week, city leaders voted against that move. Gruhl says it's likely that most people who work or travel through Marshalltown have already been exposed to Legionella, but still she warned that anyone with underlying health conditions needs to be extra cautious.
We have yet to have any of these business centers complete this step, as this step is crucial in ensuring that Legionella has been eliminated within the cooling towers. Some of them have been dragging their feet and taking their time, which is not what we wanted to see.
So as you just heard her say there, it is still an ongoing process for these cooling towers to get that bacteria completely eliminated. Now, Legionella's incubation period is 2 to 14 days, with most people getting sick around days 5 or 6. That peak period happened last week, which is why case numbers are now dropping from about 5 to 6 per day to just 1 to 2 per day. And Gruel also says that cases may still appear during the full 14-day window, but she does expect them to continue tapering off in the coming weeks as remediation work continues.
The owner of Coco and Nini's in Carlisle is facing criminal charges. Investigators say he sexually abused and assaulted his employees. James Ham is charged in Warren County Court with 2 counts of lascivious conduct with a minor and 1 count of third-degree sexual abuse and simple assault. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in Carlisle with a look at the case and a warning: this story includes information that you may find disturbing.
The lights are out, chairs are flipped, and the owner of this Carlisle restaurant is in jail.
I think everybody's in shock, and everybody, just feels frustration, and, your hearts go out to any victims and all the family that were involved.
That's Jim Kendley, the owner of the building that's home to Coco and Nini's, a business owned by James Ham. Investigators say Ham sexually abused his own employees in his restaurant. According to court documents, one victim told police Ham would make sexual comments towards her and would touch her without consent. That victim went on to tell investigators Ham sexually assaulted her at Coco and Nini's after she got, quote, blackout drunk during a party at the restaurant. A different victim, who was 14 years old, told police when she was riding in Ham's car from the restaurant, Ham touched her left inner thigh and left breast. Another victim, who was 15, told police Ham would touch her breast on multiple occasions 2 years ago. The fourth victim accused Ham of touching her butt and her breasts several times without consent. Kinley, the property owner, is working with an attorney to change the locks and get the signs removed.
As property owners, we have a responsibility to maintain a respectful, safe environment, and that's all I want out of this.
Local 5 called the restaurant several times to get in touch with Ham and called his attorney, but have not yet heard back. As for the building, its owner says he's already taken multiple calls from restaurant owners who are interested in moving into the space.
We want to get somebody in here in our community, in Carlisle community, to where they feel safe, respectful, and supportive, and for all who comes through the doors of our building.
A preliminary hearing is scheduled for Monday at the Warren County Courthouse. Local 5 will continue to follow this story and provide updates as they come in. In Carlisle, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
A federal judge is upholding a key Iowa law that regulates roofing companies when it comes to insurance talks. Local 5's JD Snover is in to explain how it got to this point and why the regulations are in place.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. A lawsuit against the Iowa Insurance Division has been dismissed. It claimed roofing companies should be allowed to represent homeowners in their insurance claims, but the judge disagreed. The owner of Kansas-based Shamrock Roofing and Construction says he was surprised when he received a cease and desist letter from the Iowa Insurance Division last year, all because a Google review mentioned his company helped manage an insurance claim.
The reaction is like, what's this? Like, I can't control someone's third-party speech. If someone puts a 5-star positive review on my Google account and said, hey, they did a great job helping me, with this process.
It's one of several cases in a broader crackdown on roofing companies by the state's insurance regulators. That effort began in spring of 2024.
The reason we have it is because of bad behavior in the past.
University of Iowa finance professor Martin Grace says the regulations are in place because when contractors try to act as third-party adjusters, it creates a conflict of interest.
The public adjuster doesn't have a financial interest really in the outcome. He gets paid for services, right? The contractor has a financial interest.
But Armstrong disagrees. He argues that in many cases, insurance companies fail to do their job, and that's why he filed the lawsuit in the first place.
When their house is obliterated and the homeowner's got tears in his eyes, he doesn't know how he's going to fix it, and the insurance isn't going to pay for it. I mean, you do that enough times, and then they don't even let you talk about it. That's a big issue.
Last week, a federal judge dismissed the case, citing previous Iowa Supreme Court rulings that support the law. The insurance division thanked the judge for the decision in a statement to Local 5. But Armstrong says it probably won't be the last punch in this fight.
That's just one battle in the war, so we're going to exhaust all remedies.
Armstrong's lawyer did not lay out what their next steps may be, but doubled down on claims this case is an infringement on their free speech. In the meantime, the insurance division says they're going to continue to enforce the regulations.
Electric scooter and bike use has been on the rise in the metro, and some of those users are young students getting to and from school. Local 5's Emma Stroner spoke with local law enforcement and organizers about how to keep kids safe.
Waukee Police Chief Chad McCluskey says the increase of this type of transportation, called motorized micromobility devices, has presented challenges, and not just in the area.
I've spoke to people nationwide through different groups that I'm in, and everybody's having the same problem.
McCluskey says getting in an accident with one of these devices can have serious consequences, some being fatal. These e-scooters can get pretty fast, some up to 50 miles per hour. Now, McCluskey says parents might want to think twice before sending their kids, especially if they're younger, on something that can reach such a high speed.
Even going a slower speed of 15 or 20 miles an hour, if you crash on that, that still can cause serious injury or death.
As the executive director of Iowa Bicycle Coalition, Luke Hoffman is no stranger to the dangers these devices might pose.
I do hear a lot of concerns of people saying, they're going pretty fast, they're heavier.
Hoffman says he wants to see change in registration and education.
I would be in favor of a registration system specifically for new e-bikes that are being sold, especially if they're on the higher end. If you're thinking about getting an e-bike, especially as a younger consumer, that could be added to the driver's manual or to driver's ed.
For now, McCluskey says drivers can do these things to ensure their safety. Stay off cell phones, don't use noise-canceling headphones, and let others know when you're passing them by. All in all, it's a conversation he says parents need to have with their kids.
And remind their kids about the dangers of being out on sidewalks, crossing streets, things of that nature, but also take that one step further and be a good human.
In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.